Most roles don't tend to have the flexibility that Chief Operating Officer does in terms of being able to craft out a role that really suits our personality and the value that we can bring to the organisation. So this programme is centred around a leadership methodology called PPMC Leadership, People, Principles, Mechanics and Culture. In my experience, I've been involved with on the ground over 150 operating companies. I've been a CFO for a $6.5 billion listed group, and I've been involved in over 50 acquisitions. The $6.5 billion group operates in over 70 countries, and I've also held a number of COO roles of varying scale in organisations. And it's the lessons of those experiences that are encapsulated in the PPMC leadership framework. In my experience, the successful teams tend to cover four bases really well: people, principles, mechanics and culture. And I think against each of the backdrop of those four areas, companies don't need to be perfect in those areas, but I think they can't afford to fall down substantially in any of those four areas. And I think whenever you find there's challenges in organisations, it tends to be in one of those four buckets. And so I go deep in those four areas as part of the programme. You can find the programme by clicking the link in the description or the comments, and it really gives us an opportunity to, one, learn a lens that we can use to stand back and look at the organisation that we're engaged with. Two, to really think about how we can contribute strategically as well as operationally within the organisation that we serve and that we're working with. But it's a 3-hour journey of thought provocation and reflection. I teach a number of other tools. Along the way, I also teach what really amounts to a mini MBA. It's a real world MBA. It's very focused on business acumen and leadership rather than business administration. There's some finance for non-financial managers in there, and there's also had a set about understanding organisations with which we've previously been unfamiliar, or also to really be able to dissect the activities in organisations, because I think there's only a handful of activities typically we find in organisations when you boil it down. And if we understand these seven, I've identified 7 different flavours of activity, and when we understand each of those 7 flavours, we can really start to understand the dynamics that really apply to those specific sets of activities. And I think the more we understand those, the more of a strategic contribution we're able to make in the organisation that we work with. Along the way also, there's an opportunity to stand back and look at our own personal growth. And holistically, the teaching of PPMC leadership and a number of other tools and frameworks that are almost subsets of PPMC leadership will give you vehicles to be able to share with colleagues and to help train some of the folks that you work with elsewhere in your organisation. So that's the backdrop to this programme. There's also an opportunity, by the way, to connect directly with me. I will invite you to an online forum, and that's an opportunity to raise any questions, either relating to the programme or simply related to your role. I'm happy to provide my perspective on any relevant operational or strategic questions that are related to the business.